Hey guys, welcome back to the Transformation Church weekly message recap podcast.
You got it.
We are back.
You got it.
We are back.
It's going to be a good one.
Back.
You can tell already.
We missed last week.
That's why it's not weekly anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what happened last week.
I was out.
Yeah, I don't know. We're in 21 days of prayer, so that's kind of messing our days up a little bit.
Boy, howdy. Oh, the air conditioner wasn't working.
Oh, yeah. It was like 80 degrees in here, so we were
If you don't know, the room that we film in right
that.
now, it was like 87 or something. Like,
yeah.
The room that we film in is upstairs at our church. Most of y'all don't even know we have an upstairs, but we do. And so we're real close to the roof.
It's like upstairs behind the stage.
And it is hot if there's no AC. And there was no AC, and it was hot. And I said, I love everyone in our church. I'm not filming today.
Yeah, I like the podcast, but not that much.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Plus, we had a few
hot.
things going on last week. We were catching up.
It's been brutally hot.
Dude, it just rained too. It's fitting to be a sauna outside.
It's just hot. It's hot. It's too hot. Like
I know we say this every year.
now this year's
I don't feel like it was
special.
I don't feel like it was this hot last
this
year.
heat waves and stuff like
Breaking records.
you get the wrong tone with me with this heat.
Bro, your message, the thing you posted, bro.
Yeah.
Was so funny. I don't remember. I just remember the
I
second
think
part.
it was like two things to remember about this heat. One, drink plenty of water.
And two, you better watch how you talk to me.
You know, you
It's
catch somebody on the
facts.
wrong day out there with this heat. It's a lot.
It is.
But we're here. We're in 21 days of prayer. Today's day 8. No, 10.
10.
Is it 10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess Sunday was 8, right?
Yep.
9, 10. Yeah. I don't know why. I
Yeah.
was
Today's
off.
day 10 that we're recording. By
Yeah.
the time you hear this, it might be 11 or 12.
That's true. That's true. So,
But today is 10.
yeah, so we've been every day at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
It's early.
It's 6 a.m. is a little early.
I've been here every day except today. I had to be somewhere at 7 this morning on the dot. So
I was not able to make it
Was
to
not here.
to the prayer.
I was with the Who's Who this morning.
I heard you were with
I was with Pensacola's Who's Who.
yeah.
you were
in the circles. In the
I
big
was-
circles.
I was sitting at the chair on the
I'm
microphone
eating a Skittle.
during the commercial break, waiting to go on the air on the radio, and they bumped me because U.S. Senator Rick Scott walked in, and
That's a
they needed to get him on before me. So I figure if you're a U.S. Senator, you're allowed to bump me. No one else is,
That's right.
but the U.S. Senator can.
There you go.
Now, because he had to go somewhere. He was on a tight schedule. He had to go somewhere else. So
Oh, aren't they always on a tight schedule?
they are. He was going to a fundraiser. Go figure.
Not
or
surprising.
something. No. So no. So
Sean,
yeah, no. Like in the room. So
so be it.
it was the radio show. This local news radio. Their 2-year anniversary. So we were recording from the Atlas Oyster Bar,
Oh, that's cool.
and we were rotating in all. Like we just kind of were rotating all the guests on there. They had 2 mics and the host, and he just kept rotating people. So like the room, we're all in there as it's happening live, but it's the current mayor, DC Reeves. The last 2 mayors were in the room: Ashton Hayward, Grover.
oh, right on.
2 of our county commissioners.
All right.
Uh,
Can you replace those
the
guys?
CEO of the of Lewis Bear Company that was the number 1 on the Power 100 list.
Come on.
My buddy Walker, who runs the he's a past president of PYP like me, but he also leads the Pensacola Downtown Improvement Board and all that stuff. So it was just a lot of the local politicians and stuff, and then Presidente, El
Big deal.
Presidente. Yeah,
It's a big deal.
I got to talk about PYP. It was cool.
Sipping his teeth.
I didn't have no pinky out. You know, I never met Rick Scott, so he's a U.S. He's not just like a state senator; he's a U.S. senator. Like with him and
Right on.
it's kind of a. I mean, there's only 50 of them. You know,
What y'all talking about?
I
What
mean,
y'all talking
there's only 100 of them. We didn't talk. It was just like, hey, how you doing? He talked on the air and then he had to go.
Right on.
But
You talking about like all his agendas and stuff, like what he's aiming.
no,
to
I did not. He didn't. I don't know. You know, he was governor of the state at one point. He was governor of Florida.
Right on.
Like when the BP oil, they were kind of talking about some of that old like reminiscing type stuff. But anyways, I never met him, so I got to meet him today. So
That's cool.
no big deal. That's why I missed prayer, but I will be here tomorrow.
No, you missed the
Doesn't
Lord.
mean I didn't pray.
Missed the Lord for Rick Scott.
Yeah. Yeah, that's seems like that's like a you could say that seems like the church world a lot these days. putting God on the back burner for all the politicians and stuff. It's funny because it's true.
Speaking of that, we had a good message Sunday.
No, that is true. We did. I liked it. You know, I told them, I don't think you were in there yet because you were running late on that call or whatever.
Yeah.
I think our messages are always good, so I don't always talk about how good they are. But I really enjoyed Sundays.
Thanks, man.
You know, like I really enjoyed the whole premise of it. Obviously, it was like illustrated because like you were actually sitting there and there was people there at the table.
Yeah.
But like I like how it leaned into like we're obviously going to deal with racial issues as a people and
Yeah.
as Christians always is going to be a thing, or
Yeah.
political. We're always going to run into issues where people have differences,
Correct.
you know, and on all fronts, and
Correct.
kind of talking about like here at our church, this is what we're about and how we handle those things.
Correct.
And I thought that was cool
Thanks, man.
because I think that's the forever you're going to have those issues.
Yeah. Well, because I think that, people have just lost the art of conversation, and they've lost the art of,
or even the ability to just disagree.
well, I was gonna say the other is like lost the art or the ability to disagree, laugh about it, and go get something to eat,
Yeah.
which we do. Me and you do more often than I think people would realize.
Well, it's just everything is so polarized. There's no room for that. It's like when we're not as polarized as you would think. Most people.
Yeah, most people aren't. What I think the thing is like, I think, which is like we said on Sunday, I belong, like it sounds weird to say this, we belong together more than we're apart. Like me and you, we don't agree on, there's a lot of things people would probably be surprised we don't always line up on. Like, we don't have staunch disagreements, but it's like you kind of lean a certain way about certain topics. I lean a certain way about certain topics.
Or we have different ideas on how we should get somewhere. Like,
correct. How to carry it out or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, we have those things, but it's like, but more important than that thing that probably won't affect me that much.
Right.
And those things is like, we are aligned far more than we're separated.
Oh, yeah.
And we have a mission that together we're accomplishing. And we've been friends for 20 something years. But I think it's like and that's what we were trying to communicate on Sunday. It's like you have the most important thing in your life, which is Christ, brings you together. So there shouldn't be anything else that can separate you to the degree that I think a lot of Christians have allowed themselves to be separated.
Right. It's true. That's
so
good.
It's like,
So I thought the whole message was just really, really powerful. And like, I think it's good. Like if you are new to us or newer,
yeah,
you kind of get a feel for, okay, at least this is what they believe in. Like these are the things worth fighting for.
Yeah.
Like these are the things we're not going to tolerate, just as a church, like as a group of believers, like we're not going to tolerate, like you said it. I don't think you said it the same phrasing in every service, but in one of them you said, you're talking about the rules to be at the table.
Yep.
You were saying we don't care about your issues, we care if you cause issues or something like that.
Yeah.
And
we don't
I was
care
like,
if you have issues, we care if you cause issues.
Right. Because some people, want to come in and it's like they bring their drama, or they like to create drama and get people stirred up and these types, like we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
But to sit at the table, quote unquote, you don't have to like have your life put together, zero issues, you're perfect. That's not a prerequisite to be at the table.
Which is what a lot of people have experienced. There's a lot of that's the reason why a lot of people weren't able to sit at the table at other places they've gone.
Right.
Because they have issues.
Well,
so they think that they're disqualified because of their issues to sit at the table.
Yeah, and
table meaning be part of the church, by the way.
Yeah, it's like a metaphor.
Metaphor, yeah.
Is it a metaphor or an analogy?
I think it's a metaphor. I think an analogy is shorter. I don't know how that. Let me look it up. Go ahead.
We can look that up. Yeah. But like one of our codes or one of our old codes was something like we fight for each other's right to have a seat at the table. It was like part of the wording, the verbiage.
Yep.
And we meant that even like, I think that's why we do a good job in our diversity. Because it's not just like certain like. The minority is tolerated, not just accepted and tolerated, but actually a seat at the table.
Right.
Like everyone has a seat at the table.
Right.
Type mentality. So when there's something that you don't understand, you can get the perspective of the other person,
Right.
because they're at the table. We don't have to make decisions for a group of people that we think may be best for them. We can just ask them because they're at the table. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to make a decision and get it wrong or something.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. And
Especially in regard to like race. I was kind of referring to race in that. There's sort of so many churches that if you're not diverse, and diversity is hard. Like that's a hard.
it's hard
in
work.
the especially in the church world, but like we're very intentional about it. And I think there's a lot more churches that aren't diverse, but not because they don't want to be. It's just hard,
Well,
but-
yeah.
But
Yeah.
we make space for all that.
Well, yeah, I think part of it is so important. And I think Sunday was really cool because, the men that were at my table are literally men at my table. Like I didn't just grab guys out of the congregation. I text every one of them were in my small group last semester.
Right.
Like they've all been part of my life for, varying different
some way,
lengths,
yeah.
but they all have an access to my life that's unique compared to other, like, you know what I mean? They are genuinely in my circle. They literally have eaten at my table. Like these are the men in my life. But, it wasn't that I was like, all right, let me find a black guy. Let me find a whatever. It literally was just like, who are my people? And I sent a text out and that those are my people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is part of what makes Transformation Church, the diversity that comes from our church. It is intentionally, cared for, but it's unintentionally cultivated. So like, I think that's the way we just live our lives.
Yeah.
Like these are just my, like, I grew up, in a culture that was, very diverse. My dad pastored churches that were either predominantly Hispanic in some cases, predominantly black in some cases. He pastored one church that was started out predominantly white, and after a year was very diverse. Like so I've never known different. I went to, I was in public school settings and very diverse environments my whole life, very urban culture.
It's just part of it. It is.
Yeah. So I don't know any different. And so it's not that I have to go out of my way to create something. That's just the way I live my life as the leader of this church. And through our relationships over years, it has made other different races, black, white, Hispanic. I have a Vietnamese brother and sister. My niece is half black, half Vietnamese. I have another niece that's half Vietnamese, that's half white. It's like, so, it's just, I think people have just always felt comfortable in the place that we've lived in and being part of our table. And that has given permission to other people to feel comfortable because those people felt comfortable, and it's expanded and expanded and expanded. So it wasn't something that we tried to flip a switch one day and say, hey, let's try to do this thing. I've never known life differently. And that's says a lot about my parents who grew up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s,
right?
To not let, my grandparents, they weren't racist or, any of those things either. But that was, definitely things that were happening in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That was obviously a huge conversation around race in particular.
Yeah, no doubt.
For that to not have any bearing on how we live our lives other than we love every person for who they are and not what they look like, and those types of things in our upbringing. And we really didn't even have those conversations. So it was just,
just part of it.
It was just,
life.
we didn't, my dad didn't even sit me down and have those conversations. It was just,
yeah.
As a matter of fact, it wasn't until we moved to the South.
Oh yeah.
That I started seeing something, because we came from, Ohio and Kentucky area. So it wasn't really until we got to the South that I started hearing certain language in reference to people groups that I was like, that don't sound. That's not, and that was when my dad talked to me to let me know, like, hey, how we've never. It's always anybody's welcome in our home and all those things. He said everybody's not like that, and had to help me understand that once we started getting into the South. So,
isn't that wild?
Yeah. So
that's wild.
But yeah. So I think that has in our church. We've always talked about like you attract what you are. You reproduce what you are. I think as leaders is the way we live our lives, and I think our church is byproduct of that. With that said, I think we
Yeah.
are also or what I said we cultivate, but we didn't have to initiate is the language I would use. So we cultivate it. We're intentional about what we do because we want to honor every people group that's represented in our church. But we didn't have to initiate it. It's just part of who we are.
Right.
So, but we do cultivate it. We honor it. We take good care of it. We guard it. We are intentional about it because we know that language matters. And
Well, in the diversity aspect, it's in all areas of the church.
correct, generationally, racially,
But and even in those two things, but it's like you see it within our small group leaders. You see that within our trustees, our board. Like,
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
It is who we are. That because when we say diversity, we don't just mean racially. I mean, we have a wide age here and the whole thing. So
yeah,
but that is represented everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I said, even our trustees are, you know,
I'm the youngest person in our board meeting.
yeah. So but even the guys on there it's a you know, it's a range.
It is. Yep. Same with our elders, our new elders that we just put in on Sunday.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's who we are, and that's how it should be, I think. So,
Sure enough, right, John?
Absolutely.
oh yeah, John's here, by the
John's
way.
here, by the way. He's just
I was
been
talking at the very beginning, but
He's been sitting over there.
You
in the
were?
corner.
it's okay. Yeah,
Oh,
I know y'all are so enthralled in what you do. So
John, I'm about to throw a skittle at you. But yeah, no, it's real. But I mean, we do. We often have churches contact us asking like, how did you guys build this? Like, how did you
be ready.
And it's like yeah. And so we try to help where we can. But at the end of the day, this is how we live our lives and how we have been living our lives. That's why I think it's so hilarious when people from my school show up to church, and I'm just like, you know, they're like, this is crazy. You know, me being a pastor, like just all of it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But
it is neat.
But yeah, so
It's neato.
neato. Sunday was a good day. We installed some elders.
We did. We also had, from what I can tell, without doing tons of research, we had the largest Sunday of the year outside of Easter, number wise.
Come on.
We had 955 people in person. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
We had 12 people get saved.
12 people.
And we had 22 first-time guests that filled out cards.
That's unreal. Unreal.
That's
That's amazing. Yeah.
So it's a good time. I mean,
Amazing.
it's a good time to be in I was gonna say a leader in the church, because you get to see all of it, you know. But just to be a part of it, I mean, it's a buzz. It's cool. It's fun. I mean,
well, I think I totally agree with you. I think it is special too because, and I think John is part of this conversation too. Because the two of us sat in a room 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When there was it was no one else. It was me, you, and Pastor Dan, and Pastor Dan was helping take care of Javen, and it was really kind of just me and you. You know, we had other staff members kind of moving in and out, but like we sat down and was like, we're gonna build this. We want to build this thing. We feel called to say yes to something, and I think what a lot of people don't know is like all the things we said no to say yes to this along the way.
Lots of
the
stuff.
opportunities that both of us have gotten along the way, and on some of them were even good opportunities. We were just like, I don't know that that's the best thing for what we're saying yes to currently. And so we sat down and we said, we want to, and I don't think we saw this, but we could see something big, and we wanted to build something, obviously through the power of the Holy Spirit, like with the word of the gospel. Like hopefully that's all implied, but you know.
Yeah, of course. We're assuming that. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously that's without that would not be. You know?
Just a club. Just a club.
No, but it's cool on several levels for me because, yeah, you're right. I mean, we did I feel like we're seeing some of what we planned or were trying to build 5 years ago. Yep. Even in the, you know, because up until even recently with like the last year with Rick being here, with Pastor Rick, like every system was like we looked at, if not made, you know, or every system maybe like that maybe already existed one time. We evaluated everything at least.
Yeah.
Or we created new ones. We were part of just all of that. And now we're like, just by the nature of growth, like I'm not as involved in some of that in certain areas as was then, and you're definitely not,
No, I'm not.
and that's a good thing, but I mean, it's not a bad thing, just because it's part of growth, and we have other people like Pastor Rick and now Tiffany and all those things. But I say all that to say is, like, even looking back, like, I think I shared this, I don't know if on the podcast, but on my memories a few weeks ago popped up the service that I was at in Birmingham at the basement years ago.
Oh yeah,
that changed a lot for me. That changed how I view the church I got saved in and started going to was this little church.
Yeah.
That was nothing like TC. I liked it because it's all I was only like a year and a half in of church. It's all I really knew.
Before that, you were like a Christmas and Easter Catholic.
Yeah. So this was a little country Pentecostal church out in Cantonment that is nothing like us, and I don't mean that like they were bad. It was just John was there.
Oh, yeah.
It's just nothing. But
y'all couldn't see John's face.
I got invited. I got invited by Rick, which is so weird. After I met Rick, the first night I met Rick, he invited me. Hey, next week we're going to this thing in Birmingham. You ought to ride with us and go. Since Rick was in Prattville, Alabama. I was working in Montgomery for 3 months.
Okay.
So while I was in Montgomery, John is how small the world is. John's father-in-law, who was a good friend, of mine at the time, was like, "Hey, I have a buddy that is a youth pastor at a church right outside Montgomery, and while you're there working, I was there during the week and come home on the weekends.
Yeah,
he's like, while you're up there, you ought to just go to his church on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
So like he connected me with Rick, and I went to the church Rick was at. As an adult, I went to the youth group, but I was just going to hang out with Rick and his team a little bit.
Sure,
and like, just, if I could help, I would or whatever. But Rick was just like, come out. And then when I'm there, he's like, hey, next week we're riding up to Birmingham. You ought to go. It's a Tuesday. And I was like, okay. And I'm going, I'll get off work at 4, So I invited Kirk, John's father-in-law. Kirk drove from Pensacola up to Montgomery. And then me and Kirk rode together and rode up to Birmingham. I went to this thing called the Basement, and it completely changed my world. And that was only 11. No, when did that happen?
10 years ago.
Hold on.
Well,
I screenshotted it because I wanted to talk about it. It happened in, oh no, what'd I do with it? It happened on,
That'd have been at least 2011.
it was 14 years ago.
Yo, 2009?
2009, really?
It was 14 years ago.
Man, that's crazy.
So it is a picture of the service. And then at 9:37 p.m. in the car on the way back, I put on Facebook, I'm officially blown away. Praise the Lord, it is on. Like, we have to do something. And then from then it's been on. I mean, John can attest. I mean, from then my whole thing was like, we have to bring what the Basement is to Pensacola. And we did that. Not to the level, nowhere near the level, but we did it. We did something similar. Mm-hmm. And then, it was just through thing after thing. So to your point, it's just like, I feel like there's just been 14 years of having my mind set on, it's almost like you can envision it, like you could see it. And now you're almost starting to see what you always saw in your head.
Yeah.
Not that it's about numbers, but you don't get the numbers if you're not doing something right.
Correct.
Now, maybe you could get them if you were doing all the wrong things too, and it's very short lived. But I mean, like, it's not that it's about numbers, but we believe healthy things grow. We believe God's got His hand on us doing stuff right now. But like the obviously, it's resonating with people, whatever we're doing.
Correct.
So,
yeah,
I say all that to say it is very cool to walk in on a Sunday morning into the service. And that's what people, I don't think, get. And maybe why would they? I mean, it's just,
yeah, they went there.
And like, I even appreciate Rick. It's funny, and we joke about it when he does it. He doesn't have to do it, but like when I pop in the Next Steps, to the new class,
yeah,
just so people can get to meet us, when he introduces me to the class, he always says something very nice about, he's the brains behind all the stuff here, or
Yeah.
he's a brilliant executive. Like he uses these adjectives that I don't ask him to use, and I honestly don't like it. But
He's brilliant.
yeah, but it's like, but we have some of that is true in the sense of there's been a lot of brain power. Like we have spent a lot of time crafting, for lack of a better word, what we want this place to look like and feel like, and what the
Smell
experience
like.
is like, even the smell, what it smells like.
literally. Yeah.
Like we've crafted, like we've taken it all. Like we've spent time talking about stuff that some people will probably be like, but like
You wanna talk about
everything matters.
everything
speaks, and it's
Yeah.
like and the reason I guess you mentioned John, because like the last
John's 5 years
year
in.
five. I mean, you've been around for now 5 years. And
Justin's 6 years.
well,
in. He's
John
five.
was with John, and me and John were
5 years
What's-
was in March.
was all the other stuff. Even before all this, John was around for all that we were doing.
Yeah.
But so I think John could probably feel the way I feel in some way, that it's like you kind of can see what you always saw in your brain, and it's like, I don't know, it's cool. So it's fulfilling. I'll say that.
I think for me, it's cool to have been able to, like, obviously before TC was Hearts of Love, right? And there was a vision for that. And then obviously when TC or Hearts of Love became TC, PB had this vision of how he wanted things to look and how he wanted things to feel and the culture that he wanted to provide and all this stuff. And so being able to come alongside that and help, make that vision a reality is more so what I have loved, these last 5 years. Seeing where we are now is because of all the hard work we put in the last 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's like, dude, that's why I was laughing. I was like, I was looking at you Sunday, and I was like, what are you doing today? And you're like, nothing. And I was like, I actually like laughed on the inside. I was like, I got you and Nate to help me with something, but it was just funny because it was like, it is.
When would that have been the case before?
That was like, I mean, I remember all of us running like chickens with our heads cut off everywhere. AMC, DeSoto, like we knew what we wanted, and we knew how hard we were going to have to work to get there. And we knew that I think we all knew we were working towards something great, and God was going to do something big. The way that he's done it over the last 18 months or 24 months has been pretty unreal. But
well, especially when you factor in all the other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what, as a, going and using your personality types, like even as an Enneagram 3, as someone who I like to accomplish things and I like to be successful. But it's like, in 14 years, I went from a 24-year-old who knew nothing about church and didn't grow up in church in 14 years to being the number 2 guy at the fastest growing church in our city, as we see hundreds, if not more, people getting saved and lives change over the years. Not only that, not that it's about being them, but what I'm saying is, like, even through that, there was a global pandemic in there.
Oh.
We've had contractor screw us. By the way, that ain't done yet if you're watching. So I had to add that. I can't help it. I'm sorry. Just
I mean, the people.
Carry on. Yep.
but we've been screwed by a contractor. We've been, we had
Shysted by a landlord.
We got an illegal fight with an old landlord. We had to go from a permanent building to a portable one in a few months because of that same legal situation. Like thing after thing after thing, that was like, but we just did the right thing every time, did what we say we do, let our integrity speak, and it's just like through all that, we still are seeing the it's like, in spite of all that, we're still, it's like, if anything, that made us like more resilient. It's like,
yeah,
that ain't gonna stop us now.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, it just, a lot's happened in 14 years. Like 14 years is a long time, but it's not that long.
Personally, yeah, for you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's like,
absolutely.
that's not that long.
No, not at all.
Especially starting as a kid, 24 years old, like,
yeah.
It's
no,
like
100%.
that ain't nothing.
No, I was a literal kid.
Yeah.
I mean, how old were you?
I was 16.
Right. It's what I mean. Like, I was like 24. I was just barely, I was working, but I was just trying to figure out exactly what I want to do in the world.
Yeah.
College didn't help with that for me, but
No, absolutely.
So I think that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%.
That's what makes Sunday exciting. It's like sometimes that's like that's why what people even talk like. Not that I get emotional about it, but if anything that does move me, I think I've shared this before, like maybe last podcast. Like when I see people accomplishing stuff that you know they worked hard for, that's moving to me.
Absolutely.
I think I was talking about the Bon Jovi Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
Yep.
You know, like I watched that and it is moving because it's like the moment that they said his name and everyone stood up and was like clapping, he sat there for a minute and like closed his eyes, had a smile on his face. Like, I've waited my entire life and worked my butt off and toured and didn't see my kids and all this stuff for this moment.
Yeah.
And that is cool. So for us, it's almost like that every Sunday. Like sometimes if that worship song is just the right song and it's just the right vibe, for lack of a better word, spirit in the room. You know, sometimes it's like all the work and all the hard stuff and all the, you know, even dealing with people can be difficult. It's like all that can be worth it because you can, especially the way our seats, the way the row curves, we can see half the room.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, look at these people.
Yeah.
You know, that are
Yeah.
getting something from this.
I don't know half of them, but look at these people.
Yeah, but like they're in, like it's like totally they're in like a worship mode, like worshiping. It's like it's different than a concert because it's like we're talking about the God of all creation here, not like Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
you know. But it's like it's just cool to see that. It's like this is what has been about the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's funny you say that. Jake texted me the other day and was asking me, he's like, "What's your favorite line from All Hail King Jesus? Your favorite part of the lyrics?" And he sent me his, and but I told him, I said, I think it's in the bridge where, you know, it says, let every tongue confess that he is Lord, let every knee bow. Like, lift up your shout as we join with all of heaven singing holy. And that's that big moment of like singing holy. And it's like, sometimes I won't sing it, or I'll sing it a little quieter because I want to hear the room singing it.
Yeah.
And that takes me to a very special place because it's like, we talk about being a house like heaven.
Right.
In regards to diversity and all those things. And it's like, man, we're experiencing a very small taste of
Well, that's why I
what
like
we're going to do in glory forever, you know?
I like when we do the mashup with Agnes Day. And go into that. Holy, like that part.
Yeah.
That's what I like. We do like with beautiful
Are you
name.
Lord God Almighty? Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
like that is just so dope. But
yeah, you'll be able to peep that at Reframe, everyone.
But no, like in that's kind of stuff that I like, you know, and people probably wouldn't think that of me, you know.
Well, and it is cool because again, it goes back to what you're saying. It's like we've worked so hard to cultivate things that I don't know that everyone's not supposed to know them. We want them to know the outcome and be able to be part of it. They're never going to know how hard we worked to get it there. Well, and like, I'm more so referencing like the glory of God concept in our church. The holiness of God and the glory of God, and all things to the glory of God, like Sola Deo Gloria. That this concept and how it's eked its way intentionally, but to see it happening the way you always envisioned that it would, but you're watching it happen. Just all those things are just super, super special.
Well, and there's so many things that I think you just, like you said, it's not everyone. It's not that you can't know it or that you shouldn't know it. It's just like we understand too that like sometimes you just walk into a room or you're new to the church and like you're experiencing all of it. Like you're seeing it, you're tasting it, you're smelling it, and you're experiencing all this stuff. And it's just like, I don't know what it is, but I like this.
Yeah.
What you don't know is the hundreds of little things that produce that have to be thought of. And that's like, and that's like the hard part. Like, I'm going to mention this. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't want to get in a whole conversation about it.
Oh boy.
But it's the first thing that pops in my head, but to make sense of what I'm trying to say. Like we've had over the last several months, there's been several people that have asked us to like, y'all need a lost and found because people keep leaving stuff in the building. And we have a position on that. And I've for lack, like almost in arguments on a Sunday with some people in our church that I've had to have. But what they don't realize is, like, if y'all think I'm just trying to be a jerk and in this moment said no to that, you're absolutely fooling yourself. Like, we've talked and first of all, we've done it. So what you're asking for, we've done. It didn't work. That's why we don't do it. You know,
After we filled 3 closets full of crap,
so
we threw it all away.
It's not even that we debated and talked about should we have one. We literally did have one, and it doesn't work. That's why we don't have one. But I think in the moment they just think I was trying, like, I'm being a jerk and want to throw people's stuff away. It's like, okay, well, if you're not going to give us or me as one of our pastors more credit than that, then I should just walk away because I might say something I don't mean right now. You know, it aggravates me because it's like I'm not here to be a jerk, but it's like everything's been thought of, everything.
And the thing is like when you walk into our building, is everything perfect? No. But is it excellent? Yes. I mean, we're walking through constantly like little pieces of paper, like things that it's like, hey, get that up, clean that poster doesn't go there, move it 6 inches to the left. Like we're for real. Like it's like there's excellence on our campus. 955 people showed up in person this past weekend. Can you imagine if all of them left one thing in the building?
If half
of them left one. And so it's like people can appreciate our excellence.
Yeah.
But they underestimate what it takes to be excellent, which is you have to move things and throw things away.
And so to those people that if you are listening, we're not trying to be jerks, and it's like, especially in the moment, that's definitely not my goal. Is not, you know, is to play down your feelings on what you think we should get. And actually, I even appreciate people that actually are trying to think of solutions to issues too.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like
we'll manage it. We'll take care of it.
We've seen a problem. We've come up with a solution.
Yeah,
we appreciate that too. Yeah. Because surely there will be one of those cases that we have not. It's like, you know what? That is a great idea. We never thought of that. Like that's happened in the past before too. It's like, like as this idea of culture of feedback, like sure, give us feedback. But you know, so not to harp on that, but it's like that was the first thing that popped in my head of an example of But
that's what I say is like, you can appreciate this, but to have this, we had to make all of these decisions that go around it, and that's what we're getting at. It's like whether it's how we guard our worship culture, whether it's what we guard our worship culture.
I just want to know who's spilling all the coffee lately.
Everybody.
Man, the coffee stains on the floor.
Yeah. No, that's one thing. Like, this is another prime example. So we're letting you in on a little bit of like some of the secrets of Transformation Church that you don't know about. All right, I'll give you a couple of these so that you can understand. Like,
come on,
that you can understand. There's a lot of things people experience, and when they experience it, they don't realize how intentional it is, but it is intentional, and that is why they experience it the way that they do. So I'll give you a worship example because this is one all of you can, for the most part, understand. So we work with our worship leaders and worship directors so there's 3 different approaches to music. There's praise, there's worship, there's vertical worship, and there's ode worship. You don't need to know the details behind all of those. Ode worship is horizontal. In other words, I'm telling Justin about how good God is. And it's a worship song, and we're singing not to each other, but we're agreeing together about the goodness of God. So that's like an ode. We're doing this together. So it's a song to God, but we're agreeing together. And then there are songs that are literally just you're singing them out loud to God. Holy, holy are you, Lord God Almighty. That's just straight up vertical like worship, right? So our worship directors and our worship director, Vince, and worship leaders, we have worked really, really hard that once the attention goes vertical, it does not come back down until the end. So once we have everyone looking at Jesus, we do not bring the attention back down. So I don't want spiritual moments or someone ad-libbing for 45 seconds or any of those things to happen once that attention has gone vertical, because now we've taken our eyes off of Jesus and we've looked at each other again, and that doesn't do anybody any good. And so a lot of people experience worship at TC and they go, man, like I really felt like I connected with God today. And it's like, yes, there are intentional ways we have created parameters around even how our worship leaders are able to lead worship to make sure that once you connect with God, no one interrupts that until the worship part is over with, right? So it's like But again, if you come in, it's like, man, I don't know what it is. Every time I come here, I feel like I can connect with God or worship. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
That is,
Or,
we've done
or
this
the
thing.
flip side is like if you come and you love it and then you want to join and maybe you were on a worship team somewhere else and you want to get on the worship team, it's like, y'all, hey, what we ought to do is like, we don't, slow down here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
And
because of that, but that, not that person's wrong. They just don't know that part.
right. That's what,
You-
that's,
right.
that's our rule for this house.
Right.
That this is how we engage with worship. And we limit we try our best to limit how much we overwhelm people from the moment they're looking at Jesus to the moment we're diving into his word. So, I mean, John's our creative director. He oversees all the videos and stuff. Like, how often are we like, hey, we need to pull some stuff out of these videos. We need to shorten these videos. We need to, what are we doing? Like, we're trying to limit the amount of attention we're robbing from people before they go from engaging in with the Holy Spirit and looking at Jesus to diving into his word. Like, that's why we don't have 15 minutes of announcements like some churches do. So-and-so's baby showers. It's like, nope, none of that. Can you guys announce this? Nope. So it's like, what are we doing? Like, we're trying to do our best. So there's just a number of things like those things that you guys will probably never know about. But there's hundreds of them, of like those decisions that we've made in rooms, in private, over time, small tweaks, where it's like, we want to try this. We want to try this. We're gonna tweak this. We're gonna
words we choose to use and words we choose not to use. Like, that's a big
Dude,
deal.
Literally,
Like,
we talk about it next steps. There's like we have culture language.
Yeah, we don't use the word in our church visitor.
No,
we use the word guest because we feel like they're like a guest in our home and we want to treat them that way.
And we've even limited that. We just say new now because we want you to belong. We want you to believe you belong. Yeah, we use guest over visitor, but now we've actually tried to even limit that because we want you belong. Your first Sunday here, so you're not even. We try to limit how much you even feel like a guest. You're just
right.
You belong here. You're just new still. So yeah, it's all that stuff. So, but John, I was curious. Like, man, you're 5 years in, but yeah, that beginning, those first 6 months for you were a doozy. But other than that,
I was like, is he gonna hang on? Is he gonna hang in there?
I don't know. I told Justin a couple of times, I was like, I don't know if John's gonna make it, bro. Like, not because you weren't working hard. You were working hard, but it was you.
Well,
I knew what I wanted.
A standard had to be set.
I knew this is who we are, and John has a very different stylistically. Your preferred style is very different than often what I have you make for us. Yeah.
Well, especially at the beginning. I mean, my style has shifted since.
Huge. Yeah.
But all that to say, I think it would have been like that for anybody.
Yeah.
And it's not that it was a bad thing. I think it was one of those things where you were letting go. You had to. Well, the first 6 months, you were not letting go.
I was not letting go.
But you had to find someone to fill this role, and you wanted to make sure that it was for the vision of TC. So, for anybody that would have been one of those things, and I understood that. Though I questioned in my head whether or not this was a good idea a couple times.
Yeah,
I think it was one of those things where it was like, it's kind of one of those things I learned a little bit early on in ministry, is to not allow your emotions to take the best of what we're doing, because I've been through some emotional things along with my wife and her family several times. So it was like knowing where I've come from and understanding how ministry is going to take a toll, understanding like, hey, he's not tearing apart what you're trying to make. He's trying to show you what this house is and who we should be and how we should be presented. So I knew that in my head, although tricky nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of stuff that takes time, though. Like,
Sure.
you gotta.
But you actually had to find that trust in me to be able to provide that, and I think that's hard for any visionary, is to say like, hey, I'm trusting you with what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that it's exactly how I'm looking to have it done.
Yeah. When I think part of it was too, is like, it was hopefully it was never. I always try to be intentional about this. It was never like, no, John, that's not what I want. Go try again. Like,
no, and it
I feel
never
like
was like that.
we're always having those conversations of like, hey, dude, like, you're looking at it this way, and I need you to like, we are bright, we are loud, we are big, and you are coming from like a dark minimalistic approach to a lot of things, like as you were in the beginning, and I was like
Like a soul.
that's I was like
Still
that is
operate
not
that way.
that is not who we are.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I was like really cool over time was as I started being able to trust you, and as you started coming to me saying, listen, here's what you asked for, here is something between what you asked for and what I think will work. And there were a lot of moments where I was like, let's do that then. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
There's also more to that though. There's also the fact that it's everywhere, anywhere you go. You happen to be a creative yourself.
correct.
Mhm.
I was the creative director
Right.
before I
So-
hired John.
That's a dynamic that if I was a lead pastor, I'm not. So
Right.
that wouldn't exist. But so what had to happen at some point? John had to say to himself, or within a conversation or whatever, like, I'm tired of remaking everything. So I need to figure out, like, at some point, if I'm not mistaken, correct me where I'm wrong, like, every series we kind of have artwork for and all this, like, you
Yeah.
created a form or something, a questionnaire that
Yeah,
he fills
a
out.
questionnaire,
So you
yeah.
get an idea of where his head is, so you kind of know what
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Other than, I have no idea. I just have a title of a sermon series, and I'm just going to create something from scratch, and it's nowhere near.
Yeah.
As a creative, he in his mind knows what it would look like if he did
It's
it.
a very unfair situation.
It's right. So at some point, you can only go so long where you're double working every day,
Yeah.
recreating everything before you say, okay, we need a better system than
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Because
You know?
and that's what John and I, we talked about it a couple times. It was like, it is not fair because, like with music, I can hear it first, so I know what I want the worship team to do before they get up to sing it. And it's the same thing with creative. It's like, I know when I'm thinking of a series, I already see in my mind what the series is going to look like because I'm a creative person. So you have to either somehow out of thin air create what I see in my head without any information, or you have to come up with something better than what I see in my head, and that's subjective.
Right.
So it's like,
Well-
so it's just not
Well,
easy.
and then those things even forced me and him to have conversations of like, okay, we hired this guy, we're calling him the creative director. But if
Yeah.
we're not giving him the permission to actually be creating things,
Yep.
then maybe we just need to call him our graphic designer, and you tell him what to create.
yeah,
Like, or like, are you the creative director?
Yeah.
And
And
if so, we need to like iron that out for everyone's sake,
yeah,
not just for the sake of a title someone feels good, but like,
correct.
if this guy's supposed to be the creative director, let him do it, or don't, and
Yeah.
you do it, and let's just tell him what to make.
Which, for the record, Justin is one of the only people that gets to talk to me like that. But
No,
I'm
and
just
obviously
kidding.
it wasn't like that. Like,
No,
you know,
it definitely wasn't
No,
like that.
but
No.
I mean, there were a couple times in working together where you, rightfully so, and Justin has permission. Like, I don't mean this any sort of way,
no, I know.
to walk in and say, bro,
That's part of
if
the
you're
job.
gonna
Yeah.
do this, if you're gonna do what you're doing right now, then we just need to let them go and let you do it, and we'll pay someone $10 an hour to just create graphics because
Right.
you're robbing John of what we brought him here to do, or Vince, or whoever. If you want to be the worship guy, be the worship guy. But if you're gonna have a worship guy, you're better as our pastor than you are as our pastor and our worship guy and our creative director. And
Right.
so we need
Right.
you to put your attention on the thing that only you can do, and let the guys do the things.
Yeah.
And-
Especially as we started growing.
yeah,
Like when you're
absolutely.
small, it's one thing, but
Yeah.
but for everyone's sake, but you don't know that till you get into it.
Yeah,
And that's why,
absolutely.
like, you can't take things personal. Like, if John took that personal, we never would have got to the place where it's like, holy, and I'm watching, so I'm like, well, I would always see that for a long time we were sharing an office,
Yeah.
you know, at the old place. So it's like,
And now we are again.
I'm seeing, yeah. So I'm seeing
Come
the
full
whole
circle.
thing, but I'm like, I just think we need to.
Yeah.
I don't know who eventually piped up with it, or you probably went on a group or something. Like, I don't know where you come up with the idea for that question thing you send to him, when and if that was a thing. That's what I
that
remember.
Was,
but like at some point, I
that
was
was
like,
back when we rebranded.
yeah, I was like, guys, we need a. I think
Yeah,
we just need a better
We need a
system
better
here.
system for this. But no, it was, and that's what I said. And then there was almost like kind of like a moment where it was like I stopped looking at stuff. Like it was like John, proved himself, and even after that, there were a couple times where I came back to him and was like, "Hey, man, that ain't it."
Well, it just happened
Um,
recently.
But did it?
Website.
Oh yeah,
Very
yeah,
similar.
yeah. It literally just happened recently.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
And I think
don't
those
think
things
that's
are okay.
yeah. Well, that's what I say. It's like, dude, um, John, you're amazing at what you do, and I always want you to have the creative liberty. And it took, once we built that trust. I mean, like, I don't see series graphics. I know what the bumper looks like when the church knows what the bumper looks like. I find out I'm watching it with y'all. Like, oh, that's cool. Oh yeah, look at John.
Because there's a level of excellence, a level of standard that has been set, and things that in the past 2 or 3 years have been able to accomplish or achieve. So it's like knowing that you're going to go into it knowing that it's going to be good, or at least like up to the standard that you're looking
100%.
for, or exceed standard.
Well, you're saying the right word, because I
So-
think that's what people need to learn. I think you should learn this wherever you're at, like at your job, but like
listener.
it's like the set the standard, because it's almost like if you came to him with every bumper video, it's like, hey, do you want to see the video? I think the question he should have is, do I need to? And if I need to,
Right.
5 years in, we got a problem. You know what I mean? Like that to me, that's a problem. So it's like at some point, it's what's his name? The guy I love, Alabama coach, Nick Saban. We set the standard, and we're gonna hold everyone to it.
Right.
They ain't mad at me, when you do make a video that is not who we are, and on Monday or Tuesday at staff meeting, he's like, what was that?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't get to be mad at him. You get to be mad at the standard because you didn't live up. Or we've had conversations when people on your team that you've had create stuff that we let somehow kind of fit through the cracks or made its way onto to a Sunday without like proper vetting or look. It's like, John, like that was not part of the, like those conversations happen. Not that you did anything
usually
wrong.
John's already in Slack, like I'm taking care of it.
And that happens everywhere. We're picking on John because he's right here, but like that happens.
Oh
all
no,
over.
I have a conversation with we're going to have with Chris Carty about something with the lights from Sunday. They had the new lighting scene was up this past Sunday.
Yeah.
There's 2 things I want him to fix because it's not like I just need 2 things fixed, bro.
Yeah.
So we see it all. It's so, but again, that's excellence, dude. Like, and that's to say we don't apologize for it. And that's why I'm super grateful. I'm grateful for like John stuck it out. Like, cause it's like John, like you just said, like it was going to happen to whoever it was. It wasn't like there was unless I can clone me, which even then, like, I don't like, you have brought to the surface a number of things into our creative culture that I don't know that would have been my preference. I wouldn't have thought to do them because if someone would have came to me and said, we should try this, I probably would have said no. You did it with a forgiveness over permission mentality, which you have now because I trust you. And I look at it and I go, oh, that's dope. Like I wouldn't have thought to do that, but I'm really glad he did because it looks amazing. And I'm glad that we did that, or, whatever it is. So yeah, I think that it's just, that's kind of the name of the game. And people, like for you guys that are listening, if you're still with us, and if you, that is the type of things we're talking about when it's like, there are so many things behind closed doors that make Transformation Church great, and our staff is amazing. And this is what we're talking about, what we did with John. We've had the same conversations with Nate, with students, with Vince, with worship. I mean, dude, if there was anybody that next to Nate has the hardest job in Transformation Church, it's probably Vince, because I'm also a former worship director and professional musician and all of those things. I did it. I was a worship director longer than he has been a worship director. Like, I know the things, and then it's my church. Like, I'm the lead pastor of this church. So setting the worship tone and the culture tone is something that I do. So it's like, he has a really, really tough job, and he's killing it, by the way. So Vince, if you're listening, like, if you guys see him on Sunday, give him a high five. But he's doing an incredible job, but it is hard work to be that guy in this house. Yeah. Right. So honor to you guys for continuing to knock it out of the park. And like you said, kind of take the, I don't even call it correction, just rerouting. Take the rerouting with so much grace. It's like, that looks awesome. It's not quite what we're going for, so let's do this, or whatever. But it's part of what makes our church great, and everybody on the team has a commitment to excellence. But I think I would say this. You guys, you're probably not going to disagree with it because I'm the one saying it. But I don't have a standard of excellence that everyone else has to live up to that I don't that we don't live up to, and myself included. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
there are no halfway put together sermons coming out on Sunday mornings. There isn't like,
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, Pipeline's been nurtured like a child for the last 5 years. The things that I'm directly in charge of, the excellence in those things is just as high as we demand out of everyone else. So it's like we're doing this together. It's not like I'm over here like, you know, showing up to work, you know, on Sunday.
You're not reading your sermons from a teleprompter.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's
I
someone
didn't
else
download it
wrote-
from Sermon Spice, and
someone else didn't write it, and then you're reading. You know,
right.
yeah, it's
No,
just
that's not the way we do it. So the whole house is excellent, and I think people notice it, appreciate it. I also think God honors it, and I think that's a big reason why we are where we are right now, because God honors honor, and we've honored our gifts, we've honored our calling, we've honored our staff members, we honor our church. We're always going to do our best to give our best. So yeah, I think that's part of why we are where we are. That's what makes the table so special, and that's why you can have a seat at the table.
Wow. Look at that segue.
Segue. It's like this dude speaks for a living
Wow.
or something.
Segue.
Wow.
So
Well,
yeah.
that's fun.
Well, you guys probably got a whole lot of information you may not have even cared to have, but you got it now. So Justin, I have a question for you.
Oh, yes, I'm hungry.
Already?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Is this like a stupid question?
Kind of. Okay. Okay, here's the question. You ready? Is the Monday that is coming up, is that this Monday or next Monday?
To me, it's this Monday. Well,
Mm,
depends on the context.
so, past Wednesday is this Monday. To me.
Up to Wednesday, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
So, like,
past it is up to is next.
Yeah.
So like if it was Tuesday, you'd say next Monday.
Yeah.
But come Thursday, you're saying this Monday.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
That's just how I think about it.
Wow. Okay.
Like if I was going to say, what are you doing next Saturday? To me, I'm talking about
2 Saturdays.
2 Saturdays from now. Yeah.
not what are you doing this Saturday.
Right.
See this Saturday? Yeah.
This Saturday is the one coming up. This one.
Gotcha.
Last Saturday was last Saturday.
So is this Monday the one coming up?
Monday seems a little far still because it's only Tuesday. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do.
Like Monday seems like it could be a next or this.
I don't remember what
Because
program
here's
it
the
is.
deal. This is currently Tuesday. This could have meant yesterday. Like, what were you doing this Monday? So then I'd
I
have
would
to
say
clarify.
this past Monday. If it were me.
I would too, but I could see how.
If I heard someone say, "What are you doing? What are you doing this Monday?" I'd be like, "You mean what am I going to do this Monday?" Thinking like I'm talking about this coming up
Yeah.
Monday.
So to me, I usually say next, referring to like the.
I'll say next Monday until about halfway through the week, and then I'll say this
So do
Monday.
next Monday.
So
Yeah, I
okay.
can get down with that because that makes sense. Like we do next Monday.
Because there's a program that I use that has that.
Yeah, but
yeah,
but Saturday. If I say next Saturday, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a toughie.
so here's an even better question.
Don't do it.
Today's Tuesday.
Yeah, it is.
So is next week's Tuesday this Tuesday or next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
It's the next Tuesday
That's next Tuesday.
because we're on a Tuesday. It can't be this because this is this.
Yeah.
So if you were like, we were planning to be like, yeah, just set it up for this Tuesday.
That would just
Nah, I
feel
feel like
awkward.
t-
That'd be like,
we are
you mean next Tuesday?
You mean next Tuesday? Yeah.
What are you going on?
I don't know. All right, cool.
You know what I hear? Never mind.
Oh dear.
Oh boy. If Justin is
We're
cutting himself off,
Are we about to
that's
have a
probably
just-
a good decision.
Justinism.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I'm not gonna say. Yeah. It's just irrelevant. Never mind.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Fair enough.
guys.
Well, no, I can say it in a different way.
Okay.
Here it
What
is.
I would say is like, hey, is your birthday's on Friday?
Indeed.
But some people say your birthday's on today. If today was your birthday, is your birthday on today? Well, I would never say on today.
I knew what
Yeah.
you were gonna say.
I was- I was just saying it's your birthday today. You know what I'm saying? That's funny. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I think
just
that's funny.
awkward.
Everybody that's listening
If you,
either knows exactly what we're talking about or has no clue what we're talking about.
yeah, if you know, I don't
If
mean
you
nothing
know,
to buy
you know.
it. I don't mean nothing to buy it. I'm just saying like It just that's the
On today.
yeah. I would never say on today,
No.
but I would say like, is it on Friday? Is your birthday? I could say, is your birthday Friday or is your birthday on Friday? Both of those make sense, but I will never say is your birthday on
But
today.
if it were Friday, you wouldn't say on today.
That's right.
Correct.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That's
It's I don't understand that one. I mean, like you wouldn't say that on a Sunday.
Say what?
On today.
But some people do. Some people do. Like, we're good. I'm glad to see you on today.
Who
Yeah.
says this? Who?
I've heard pastors
Oh,
even say.
a lot of yeah.
pastors.
Yeah. That's good to see you on today. That makes no sense to me. Just say today.
On today thing.
You know, but people always have weird. I mean, language is so weird, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's the funny part about it. You know,
Yeah.
some stuff doesn't make sense, but makes total sense until you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know, this Sunday, this Tuesday, next Tuesday. You know,
I used to sound out words when I was a kid until they started sounding weird.
oh yeah. Well, I've always curious. I think I've asked this before. Do y'all the word pamphlet?
Oh yeah.
Do you
Is
say
it pamphlet?
pamphlet with like the F where the PH makes an F, pamphlet, or do you say pamphlet like with no H in the word?
Yeah, I'm a no H person.
You say
Pamphlet.
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 Me
yeah.
too. So I thought the whole world did, and then one day someone was like, "It's pamphlet," and I was like, "Is it?" I mean, I was like, "Obviously, it is spelled that way," but I've never said
Pamphlet.
pamphlet. So then I've asked other people, and they're like, "I'm totally in the
Pamphlet.
minority." They're
Really?
yeah, they're totally
No.
pamphlet people.
Here's the thing. I think if you say pamphlet, you're using an N instead of an M.
Pamphlet,
Pamphlet. Pamphlet.
pamphlet,
Pamphlet.
Pamphlet.
Like pamphlet.
pamphlet,
That wasn't in my pamphlet.
pamphlet,
There's no M.
pamphlet. That's why it's a pamphlet,
Pamphlet. Now that word sounds dumb. Now that we've said it so many times, like pamphlet.
Yeah. So what do y'all? I mean,
Pamphlet.
drop in the comments if you're a pamphlet or a pamphlet guy
Or girl.
or girl,
Yeah.
or guy that.
Nope.
no.
No.
If you're a person,
Whoever you are,
yeah,
drop a comment.
whatever you are. No, but so I think I'm in the minority because someone was like, "No, it's totally pamphlet."
I think people know what it is. I don't think that's how they say it. I think you
I
ask
think
when
if you say it fast, most people are saying pamphlet.
yeah.
I'm going with the P, pamphlet, hard P. I'm going with the hard P in my pamphlet.
Hmm.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't like to say the word. You know, like you go to a restaurant, there's a table or a booth.
Yep.
I don't like to say booth. If you say booth plural, say it. Booths.
Booths.
I don't
That
like.
sounds dumb.
It sounds weird.
Booths.
I always want to say like
Booths.
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 Booths. I don't know why. I always
Booths.
found that weird.
Y'all got any booths available?
But yeah, pamphlet. I always thought that was interesting. So there's that.
Well,
I'm
This
going.
is intriguing you at all?
Hey, this is stuff I think about sometimes. You know, someone's got to.
yeah.
You know, I mean, y'all are asking stuff as a taco, a sandwich, or something.
It was a hot dog, a
Oh,
sandwich.
whatever.
Yeah.
A hot dog, a sandwich, or a taco.
The world
Oh
wants to
yeah,
know.
yeah, that's what it was. It's not a sandwich or taco. It's a hot dog.
Or is it?
Or- I love it. All right, y'all.
Yeah.
Justin, they can find us where? If
Um,
this podcast made them think, I gotta know more
need
about
to
this
know
place.
more. Listen, you go to on your little computer, you go to transformationchurch.com or all the socials at Transformation Pensacola.
you can also do that on your phone if you have a smartphone.
Or yeah, or that too, or
Yeah.
your tablet or something.
Whatever.
We're on all the socials, including TikTok and YouTube at Transformation Pensacola. Boom.
Boom. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Yep.
And we'll catch you hopefully next week.
Hopefully.
For another week. Another, I don't know.
Message Recap Podcast.
You know what?
Yep.
We should probably just change.
We'll just
this.
Yeah,
gotta
it's
change
it's
it.
all right. It's all right.
Yeah.
See you guys.